Subconsciously, we've all heard this melody somewhere. So who is this character and what's going on?
And then the Queen of the Night sings this kick-ass aria. De Hölle Rache kocht in meinem Herzen. The vengeance of hell boils in my heart.
Lovely.
It is.
And that familiar melody that you hear represents her anger at this one character named Sarastro. He is the powerful high priest of the land. But she's mad at him for kidnapping her daughter, Pamina, and leaving her with limited power to save her daughter. All that high, fast singing is called coloratura. Speed and agility in music can mean a variety of things. It can mean hallucinations, that you're insane, or intense daggers of magic that can ring like lightning bolts. In today's video, we will learn the story of Die Zauberflöte and discover why the Queen of the Night is so angry. Here we go. Welcome. This is Opera for Black Folks, serving culture to all folks. Hi. This is Cassandra with your weekly dose of operatic storytelling, designed to make opera accessible and to inspire you to see live opera. But first, let's jump into some opera facts. So, Die Zauberflöte is German for the Magic Flute. It is a fairy tale in 2 acts, but Mozart is known for too many notes, Mozart, because this man has a lot to say. It is called a singspiel.
Let's talk singspiel, shall we?
Which means that it's a sing play or German language music drama, but at the time it was more of a singing play because it has more spoken dialogue alternating between music ensembles, songs, ballads, and strophic-like arias. Strophic meaning folk-like. The opera has 2 main themes. Everybody can relate to these 2 things. The first is love. The second is becoming a better person by overcoming trials. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart wrote it in the 18th century, and it was one of the last works that he wrote before he passed. No one knows what brought on his death, and Mozart fell ill while in Prague for the premiere of his opera La Clemenza di Tito, written the same year as the Magic Flute. Mozart conducted its premiere, and he was furiously writing to complete his Requiem in D minor, but died in his home on December 5th, 1791, at only 35 years old. Emanuel Sciaccanida, say that 3 times fast, wrote the libretto, or the Italian word for Little Brook, and premiered the role of Papageno in 1791. That's kind of cool. The libretto is the story but broken down and rewritten to support music. Now, another fun fact is that Mozart was a Mason, or a Freemason, for the last 7 years of his life, littering his opera with so many symbols that it is a treasure trove of double meaning. The music should have feelings of humanity, wisdom, patience, virtue, and honesty. I will do my best to point them out as we go through the story, but first, the overture. The overture of this opera is so much fun. I wasn't a real Mozart fan when I started learning the role of Pamina, but this energetic and bouncy overture completely won me over. It's worthy of a listen on its own, and I suggest listening to the Metropolitan Opera's production of it with James Levine conducting. It can be found on YouTube, and I will link it in the description below. Let me know in the comments if you were dancing in your seat while listening to this overture. On to Act 1. Adesso, we start Act 1. There are a lot of scenes in this though. I'm gonna do my best to go through this as quickly as I can. All right, scene 1 starts in a rocky, rough landscape. The opera starts with the handsome yet desperate Tamino, lost in a foreign land, crying, Zu Hilfe, zu Hilfe, zu Hilfe ist verloren. But he's crying for help because a giant serpent looks to make him lunch. But then suddenly 3 powerful ladies appear and they banish the menacing monster. They are attendants to the Queen of the Night and believe that Tamino is the only one that can help them. But they decide it's best to leave together and alert the Queen of the newcomer. Tamino then awakes, surprised that he's alive, and shocked to find the serpent dead. In walks Papageno. He is half man, half bird, playing his pan flute and singing about catching birds and hopefully a wife in this cute aria. He's a bird catcher in service to the Queen of the Night. The prince asks him how he managed to kill the beast, and Papageno claims that he strangled it with his own 2 hands. Suddenly, the 3 ladies appear and seeks his payment of wine, cake, and figs. But instead they give him water, stone, and a padlock for his mouth for him lying about killing the serpent. The 3 ladies officially introduce themselves to Tamino and tell him of the queen's anguish. Her daughter has been abducted by Sarastro, who they describe as a powerful but evil demon. They ask Tamino to consider saving the queen's daughter Pamina, and they show him a picture of her. Tamino declares his love for Pamina, and he begins to sing his aria. And then a clap of thunder and lightning, and the Queen of the Night makes her dramatic entrance. Her aria is called O zitre nicht, mein lieber Sohn, and then the aria that follows is Du wir sie zu befrennen gehen. It's a really long aria, but it's baller music, and it's great music that's worthy of a queen, and so thank you, Mozart, for that one. Okay, next, after the queen makes her grand exit, we have a quintet between Tamino, Papageno, and the 3 ladies. A quintet meaning 5 singers singing together. And Papageno begs for help because he's got this padlock on his mouth. And Tamino expresses that Pamina is all that matters and that he can't help them anyway. Then the 3 ladies return and they remove the padlock from Papageno's mouth. And they gift Tamino a magic flute, basically what this whole opera is named after, that transforms sadness into joy. And to Papageno, they give magic bells, or what would be considered a glockenspiel, that these magic bells give protection to Papageno when he plays them. And then they command Tamino and Papageno to go on this journey to Sarastro's palace to save Pamina, and asks how will they know which way to go. And the ladies respond saying to follow the 3, another pointing to the representation of the number 3. So 3 boys, I like to think of them as angels, whatever. They say to follow the 3 angels or the 3 boys and to only heed their guidance and no one else's. That brings us to Act 1, Scene 2. A room in Sarastro's palace. The scene opens with a trio of slaves that are gossiping about Monostatos, who is a Moor and the overseer to Sarastro's temple. So Pamina, the Queen of the Night's only daughter, is dragged in by Monostatos, chief of the slaves, threatens to have his way with her. He's about to kiss her when Papageno suddenly appears, but Papageno appears without Tamino to find Pamina. Monostatos and Papageno both are equally frightened by each other. Monostatos runs away, and that leaves Papageno with Pamina to talk. Pamina wakes up and she's crying for her mother, and Papageno introduces himself and says that he is the messenger from the Queen of the Night and asks, "Are you the Queen of the Night's daughter?" He tells her of Prince Tamino, who declares his love for her and will save her from Sarastro, but confesses that he wishes that there was a Papageno for the lonely Papageno, which inspires them to reflect on the power of love, and they sing a marital duet. And after that lovely feel-good duet, they run off to find a way to escape Sarastro's palace. And that brings us to Act 1, Scene 3, a grove in front of Sarastro's temple. So the 3 boys appear and they are leading Tamino to Sarastro's temple. They encourage Tamino to succeed in saving Pamina, be resolute, patient, and silent. There are 3 temples, there's that 3 again. As he approaches the temple of reason and nature, voices from within deny him entry. As he approaches the temple of wisdom, a priest emerges. The priest, or the speaker, opens the door to the temple of wisdom and questions Tamino. And this part I'm not a fan of, but the priest responds, "Why would you listen to a woman and youths? Women do little but chatter much." The priest tells him that Sarastro is not evil, but benevolent. It is the queen of the night who you shouldn't trust. And then he hears Papageno's pan flute, and runs off in the direction to find Papageno and hopefully Pamina. Cut to Papageno and Pamina, and they appear singing. But shortly after escaping Sarastro's castle, they are cornered by Monostatos and his men, and then Papageno begins to play the Glockenspiel, hypnotizing Monostatos and his men to a playful dance. And after they dance away, Papageno and Pamina hear Tamino's magic flute, but they also hear Sarastro and his regiment or his men approaching, and they wonder what to do. And Pamina courageously says, all we can do is state the truth. Again, another Masonic reference. When Sarastro arrives, Pamina begs his forgiveness and explains that the reason she ran away is that Monostatos was trying to have his way with her. Sarastro welcomes her with kindness. And encourages her to trust him over her mother. Not a fan. But that's what he says. But Pamina resists. She begs to be returned to her mother. And he refuses her request, saying that the queen is too proud, headstrong, and a bad influence to all around her, and that he believes that Pamina would be better suited with a man's guidance. Not great. Again, it makes me want to roll my eyes and like, oh, because it's a reflection of how men perceived women at that time, and that a woman with a mind of her own was a thing to be feared instead of embraced and encouraged. C'est la vie. Monostatos enters with Tamino, and this is the first time that Tamino and Pamina are seeing each other. Sarastro then separates Tamino and Pamina, explaining that they must undergo a series of trials to purify their spirit, and sings.
Für diese beiden Fremdlinge in unser Prüfungstempel ein.
Okay guys, jumping in here to let you know that I really tried to make this one complete video, but Mozart has so much to say. And I couldn't put it all into one video. So this brings us to the end of part 1. Join me in part 2, where you can find out what happens to Pamina, Tamino, Papageno, Sarastro, and find out why the Queen of the Night is really so angry. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you liked learning this wonderful operatic story of the Magic Flute. This is Opera for Black folks, serving culture to all folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Ciao.